Hey guys, what's going on? CHH here today, and today we're talking about Halloween 3. Easily my favorite Halloween film, so I'm super excited to do this episode of 10 wild, crazy, surprising, dark, whatever I call this video, facts about Halloween 3. So again, if you haven't seen the previous two episodes, I'm doing these for each entry in this series because, quite frankly, this book is great. It's called Taking Shape, Developing Halloween from Script to Scream, and it goes over every entry of the Halloween franchise up to date. At least up till the end of the Rob Zombie ones. So, yeah, the Rob Zombie ones, I think. So, it's been a really great read, and I have learned a ton of stuff. I've had people reach out to me saying that while they know some of these facts, which I'm sure a lot of you are bigger Halloween fans than me, I'm a big one. I'm a Halloween 3 fanatic. I'm not a Halloween fanatic. I'm a Halloween 3 fanatic. But even so, I learned new things from this book about Halloween 3. So, let's just go ahead and get right in it, guys. Let's start. These are 10 interesting, wild, dark, whatever I call it, facts about Halloween 3. First fact of this video, I don't ever recall hearing about this in a documentary. Again, if it's been on a disc form or some kind of commentary special feature, I've listened to it, watched it, but I've never read much about these movies. So this was the first time I ever recall hearing that Tommy Lee Wallace was not the first choice for director. In fact, the first choice for director that John Carpenter wanted was the Howling's Joe Dante. Now, Joe Dante had already developed a good relationship with the Avco Embassy, which John had just worked with for The Fog. So John became very aware of Joe Dante, knew that Joe was a very talented filmmaker, and approached Joe to do it. And surprisingly, at first, Joe was all aboard that idea. So that would have been interesting seeing Joe Dante create Halloween 3, but without question, the movie would have been totally different, as we're going to see, because of who originally wrote the script and that sort of thing. Going along with that, let's go to fact 2 about Halloween 3, is that we all know now from listening to countless commentaries and documentaries that Nigel Kneale was involved with the script writing of Halloween 3 from the beginning, and we're going to talk more about that throughout this video. But Joe Dante was initially the guy to say, you should reach out to Nigel Kneale about working on a script for this movie, considering it's going to be a totally different thing, unrelated to Michael Myers. This would be great to get him involved. He's a great screenwriter. So boom, we have to thank Joe Dante for putting the bug in John's ear to initially reach out to Nigel Kneale, because if Joe had not had that conversation, who knows what this movie would have been. It could have been something completely different. Before I talk about the third fact of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I want to state that Tommy Lee Wallace has a book coming out this fall called Halloween 3 Where the Hell is Michael Myers? A book all about making of one of horror's most misunderstood films, which I know, based on what he said, is going to go super in-depth about Nigel Kneale's original script, the changes, the different things. So I'm not going to cover too much about that in this video, but rest assured, when that book comes out and I get it, a hard copy, first run of it, I want to do a video talking all about Nigel's original script and what that film was going to be. But one thing I will say about Nigel's script for the third fact of this video is that in Nigel's script, there was nothing about bugs and snakes coming out of the masks of kids. That was something that was added from John and Tommy because they needed to punch up the movie a lot more from what Nigel initially had for his script, claiming that that script, while good and the ideas were great, was more flat and dull and would have worked better as a British TV movie, which Tommy Lee Wallace has stated he doesn't mean that as an insult, just as a matter of fact. Nigel wasn't up to snuff when it came to making American pop culture exciting movies, and that's why Nigel seemingly left the project and wanted nothing to do with it, because that was not his cup of tea. So this was interesting to me. The fourth cool fact about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is that Universal hated the ending to Halloween 3. They despised an ending that was dark and ominous and ambiguous. And I think the Universal thought that because I think that test audiences probably don't respond well to that. I know John has talked well about that. So when Universal hated the ending to Halloween 3, they went to John Carpenter, who was also the producer and kind of the godfather of this Halloween thing, besides Moose the Bacot, as we know, which is back there on the TV. But they asked John, should we punch up the ending? What do you think? And John went to Tommy Lee Wallace, said, hey, Universal wants to punch up the ending to this movie or have a happier ending. I told them that I would talk to you about it and we would make an ultimate decision. What do you want, Tommy? Tommy said, I want to keep the ending, and John said, you're the director, I've got you. And it was at that all ceasing of filming anything extra for any of this movie stopped. John cares about filmmakers because he is one and never wanted his movies to be gutted by studios, and he did the same for Tommy. When Tommy said, this is what I want for the ending, John said, you got it. So that's a That's awesome. I've never heard Tommy talk too much about that before, but I commend John so much for that. It makes me love John even more because he didn't have a dog in that fight whatsoever. He could have been like, hey, Universal, I want a better relationship with you. If whatever you want, I'm going to give it to you. But he wanted to do what Tommy wanted. So that's awesome. John is the man. Fifth fact about Halloween 3 is this. It's not necessarily a specific fact, but just something that should be said. You notice that we haven't seen much deleted scenes or alternate scenes or things behind the scenes from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Well, that's because the script was tightened up so much and that the budget wasn't big enough to film extra stuff, that the majority of everything we see on screen was what was filmed. I know that there are a few shots of the montage of Tom Atkins running through the town at night, avoiding the suits. He claimed not all of that was in the movie, which is possibly true for sure, but majority of everything else, that was all in the film, and it was shot because they filmed the script that finally was done. So that's interesting to note, because I've always wondered, is there extra scenes? Is there alternate takes? I'm sure there may be alternate takes or takes that didn't work, but it's in the context of the scene. But is there anything extra that we never got to see? Maybe there's a longer car ride with Ellie and Dan, but apparently not. Everything that was filmed is basically what made it onto the screen. Okay, so this was cool, and this is something I would have been okay with. In Nigel Kneale's original script for the movie, the intro to the film, which I adore, the computer generating the pumpkin, as you can see right there on the TV. In the book, I learned that it's the same that we see. It's supposed to be this digital recreation of a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern in the beginning. Because the skeleton and witch were incorporated in that original script already, he wanted to have a digital recreation of all three on the screen. So that would have been something, to see a digital recreation of the skeleton and the witch going along with the pumpkin in the beginning. I love what we have, but in my mind, that is wicked cool, and I kind of wish we would have got that. So that is something. So here's one more thing about Nigel's script. Like I said, there is going to be so much stuff we're going to dive into later this fall when I read that book. But one thing that I did read that was interesting and makes sense was in the original draft of the script of Halloween 3, Conal Cochran was supposed to be a much bigger prankster jokester than what we see on film. Obviously, the big joke is on the children, but for the most part, Cochran is a very stern, very affluent guy. He's very formal and, yes. But in the original script, when he meets Dan Chalice for the first time, he buzzes him with the hand with one of those little things you wear and just jokes with him, and he's a big jokester prankster, which could work for the movie itself, but in another breath, what we got with Conal Cochran works, in my opinion, flawlessly, and makes him so menacing and scary because he's looked at as almost royalty in the town, and quite frankly, he probably was. So, but that's interesting. I could imagine a Conal Cochran that would be buzzing people and having the flower with the water that shoots out of it on the jacket pocket. An alternate universe. Okay, so I know I said that was the last thing about Nigel's script, but this was too good not to talk about. So in Nigel's script, and again, there's gonna be more, but in Nigel's script for Halloween 3, Buddy Kupfer arrives in the town solo as opposed to with his family. And the way they die, as we know now in the movie, is the kid watching the commercial, the bugs and snakes. But in the original version, the original script, Buddy Kupfer goes to the factory, sneaks into the final processing room when he starts to sniff some weird things going on around this factory, metaphorically speaking, and notices these human beings in these cocoon-like pods getting the life sucked out of them, ostensibly probably becoming robots for the town, so to speak. He freaks out and doesn't want to be captured when the suits find out that he was watching, goes up to the top of the building of the factory, and threatens to jump and kill himself, all the while Conal Cochran is laughing, saying, "Do it, do it, I dare you to jump." So he is telling him to do it, which is so dark and insane to think about. Imagine that scene in your head. That would have been something. We're talking about Nigel's script from now on. Let's go to the Jack Martin novel, who penned treatments for parts 2 and 3, and Jack Martin is a pseudonym name. It's not the actual author's name, which is slipping my mind right now. But in the Jack Martin novel, the death scene of the Kupfer family is a lot more brutal in description. We hear about little Buddy Kupfer watching the commercial. Well, apparently when the commercial goes, his eyes start to turn blood red and turn into red blood orbs, and they start spewing blood out, and a big spider is supposed to emerge from the mask. A big spider is what it's described as, and that's what kills the mom. And all while that's happening, a big snake ostensibly comes out of the mask as well, which does happen in the film, and goes and kills Mr. Groombridge while he's screaming, "Cochran, you bastard! You lying bastard!" So it was a lot more descriptive and more brutal and grotesque in the novel, which I could see that instantly getting some kind of X rating with the bloody eyes at the time. That would have been brutal to look at. I would have loved it, but I could see why maybe they didn't go as hard with that. What we got in the movie is great, but visually what I was reading about from that scene in the book was just horrible to read. Okay, so the 10th fact, again, a lot of this stuff has to do with Nigel's script, and I'm actually not going to talk about that anymore, but I am fascinated by what Nigel Kneale wrote for this movie, and I can't wait to dive into that. Now, this 10th fact is not necessarily a Halloween 3 fact, but I wanted to bring it up because it sounded really cool to me. So, as we know, Tommy Lee Wallace ultimately declined directing Halloween 2, but he didn't initially. When he was asked to do it from John and Deborah, he was down. He was so down to do it. It wasn't until he got the script that he was like, I can't do this. But apparently, in that meantime, and I'm gonna do my best to look for this. If anybody has seen this before, please share it with me. I'm gonna do my best to research this. But Tommy was interviewed in Taking Shape, and he recalls seeing an advertisement in Variety for Halloween 2 directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. I would love to see this advert, because that is, you know, obviously false advertisement, but it wasn't at the time because he was slated to direct it and the word of mouth was coming out. So that's just something really cool. If somebody has seen that, please send it to me, but I'm gonna look as well. So guys, there it is. 10 dark facts. Let's go with dark. Let's go with 10 dark facts about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I can't wait to get that book that Tommy Lee Wallace has coming out called Halloween 3 Where the Hell is Michael Myers? The Making of Horror's Most Misunderstood Horror Movie, I believe is the name of it. And that's going to be a great read. I had to go with some Nigel Kneale stuff about the original script because obviously that's the biggest lore about the world of Halloween 3. But I didn't want to go into too much, but God knows I could make 50 because just this book alone goes over a lot of it. But Tommy has talked about that when he goes into this book that he has coming out, it's gonna go over all of it, so that's gonna be fascinating. But I was not aware that Joe Dante was initially asked to direct Halloween 3 either, so that's very interesting. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please, as always, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you might have learned from this video, and if you thought that it was a cool if it was a good video, definitely check it out. Taking Shape. Again, I'll leave a link, an Amazon affiliate link, which won't cost you a penny extra. I'll just get a few cents off of the sale down below in the comment section below. And again, I just want to ask you this. Are you a Halloween 3 fanatic like me? It's clearly my favorite Halloween movie, bar none. I love it, which is a shame because I only have tattoos of these Halloween movies, the Michael Myers ones, which has to be changed. I've got to get the Silver Shamrock right there or something. I have to have a Halloween 3 tattoo, which just is ostensibly becoming the Halloween arm. But anyway, Halloween 3 is far and away my favorite Halloween film. If you think I'm crazy for that, fair enough, but are you crazy like me? Is it your favorite, or are you a diehard fan like me? I'd love to know. I always like hearing people's thoughts on this movie, especially people that are diehard fans like me. And what was your thoughts the first time seeing it? Did it change? Did you love it the first time? Tell me all about it in the comment section below. I love reading that kind of stuff. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll see you soon with Halloween 4, because I can't wait to learn more about that, because apparently there's a lot of crazy stuff with John and Deborah going Splitsville, and it wasn't exactly the most positive thing, so can't wait to read about that. So anyway, guys, we love you, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and music, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month.